We have found a little room, a study room at the Westwood Public Library. Tom Leyden with you. Thank you for listening to the Westwood Living Podcast. I'm joined today by Maya Plotkin. How are you?
I'm fine, Tom. How are you?
I'm fantastic. A familiar name to many people here in Westwood because you've basically been here your whole life, right? Class of 91 out of Westwood High School.
Yes.
You're on the school committee, but that's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about today is the work that you've done with the Westwood Food Pantry.
Yes.
And something that's going on right now. Because I was stunned when you just told me a couple minutes ago, you've been on this board since 2010.
2010.
I mean, that's 15
Yes.
years of dedication to the Westwood Food
Yes.
Pantry. So
Yep.
as a person who knows the talk tracks, take me through what the Westwood Food Pantry is all about, where you've come from, who
Sure.
you serve, and how you've seen things evolve over the years.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I joined back in 2010. At the time, it was actually under the Westwood Council on Aging. It was sort of a subdivision of that organization. And for the longest time, it had been run by one guy, this guy, Joe Wigman, I think his name was. And unfortunately, he passed. And when he passed, there was sort of a little bit of a, what are we going to do with the food pantry? And that's when I got involved. I got involved with Trish Tuck, who at the time was working at the senior center.
A legend.
A legend, as deservedly so. And so we put together a board, and I think we had about 4 or 5 people at the time. And 15 years ago, we actually separated from the Council on Aging, became our own 501c3 organization, and just started, carried the amazing work of Joe forward and just started, putting sort of different processes in place and making it more of a board-run organization as opposed to just an individual.
Now, the building itself, where many of the food items are collected, is still right next to the Council on Aging, correct?
It is. And it's a great synergy with the Council on Aging. Lena, the director of the Council on Aging currently, is so supportive of the food pantry. One of her employees, Mary Ellen LaRose, is on our board and also in her role at the senior center performs certain admin duties for the food pantry. So there's a huge collaboration between the two, lots of synergies. We're really appreciative to the Council on Aging for all the support they give us.
Well, there's been a lot of things going on because you've made a few headlines recently. I was so impressed that Barcino, who's been in town for less than 6 months,
oh my gosh, amazing,
stepped up in a huge way over the holidays. I think ultimately, if my memory serves me correctly, $3,300
they raised, through their dessert program, where basically they donated, I think it was $2 for every dessert that someone ordered in the month of December.
That's a lot of desserts.
It's a lot of desserts. And they are good desserts, so, they're worth it.
That's fantastic. So that's just, and listen, that's one thing that we briefly touched on as we kind of communicated back and forth about the concept of financial donations.
Yes.
And there's an ebb and flow to that. And you had told me that at this stage, you're not getting as many financial donations as you have in years past. So it's an opportunity to spread the word that there's an opportunity for people to do that too.
Yes, and I appreciate that, Tom. During COVID, this community came together for the food pantry like I have never seen. We raised so much money, so many donations. Everybody was thinking of the food pantry. And a lot of that sponsorship has continued, but of course it can't keep up that level. In the meantime, we have seen our population grow since COVID. And, currently we serve around 100 families in Westwood. Some of them are temporary, maybe someone gets laid off, needs a couple months of assistance before they find another job. Some of them are more long-term. They're on fixed incomes and costs are going up and up as we all experience. Our numbers tend to fluctuate between 75 to 100 families, but right now we're probably at about 100. Which, I think surprises people, right? You think of Westwood, you don't think of a huge need, but we have one. And so we've seen financial donations, come in a little bit under what we've seen in the past. So any opportunity for us to get out and sort of spread the word is appreciated.
Well, glad that we can help in that regard. And I can't believe it's taken this long to get to kind of the point why we're here,
right?
But a really creative way of not only collecting food goods, but helping educate the kids. You're reaching out to the elementary schools, of which we now have 4 instead of 5. Yes. And tell me about this program and how the kids have become involved in helping to not only raise awareness, but literally put food on the tables of people who need it.
Yeah, so this is an amazing program. This actually, I have to give credit, is the brainchild of Stacy Reiser, who's on our board. She came up with this idea. As any Westwood parent knows, in the elementary schools, they celebrate every year the 100th day of school. And they do, I don't know if, I'm sure your kids did it, but we had to find 100 pencils and, tape them to a poster board. There was some sort of event. And this year, Stacy said, hey, what if we reached out to the schools and said, for the 100th day, maybe they could help us with a food drive, and each grade could try and raise 100 items of a particular thing that we need. We thought that was a great idea. We reached out to the schools before winter break, and the response was tremendous. All 4 schools jumped on it and said, we absolutely would love to partner with you to do this. So that's what's going on right now, the 100th day school drive, food drive for the food pantry.
And the reason we're talking about this in late January is because there's still a window of time for people to engage and become involved in this. And we just want to spread more awareness of it. So when does this campaign run through, and how do people engage?
Yes. So the 100th day of school is actually Thursday, February 6th. So this campaign runs through Friday, February 7th. And the easiest way is just bring your canned goods to any one of the 4 elementary schools, or send your kid to school with some cans in their backpack. We have already had to collect. The bins were full as of last week. So we've already done 1 round of collections, which is amazing. We were not expecting that. But it is running, as you said, all the way through the end of next week. So February 7th is the last day. So if you haven't donated, we definitely encourage you to do so.
Okay, so take me. I don't have kids in elementary school anymore.
Okay.
So if I were to be interested,
Yep.
What do I do? Do I have to get a specific item? Because you said that originally, Sheehan's going to be what? And Downey's going to be what?
Yes.
So take me through that.
So I think I would pick a school and then call the school, because we didn't do the same item for each grade in each school. So for example, I have the Sheehan flyer here, right? And so for Sheehan, the kindergarten is collecting toothbrushes, first grade's collecting shampoo, second grade's toilet paper, and sort of so on and so on. So, and each school has a different list. So I would pick a school, I would call the main office, and I'd say, I'm interested in donating. And then you can pick a grade and donate, or you could donate 1 item to each of the 6 grades. It's up to you. But that's really what the kids are doing. They're really focusing on, how many items of their particular item can they collect. And the winning grade in each school that collects the most items wins some sort of prize. The prize is, the schools are determining what makes sense, whether it's a pajama day or a movie day. But the kids are very excited about that.
Creative. You mentioned Stacy. I know Stacy's got such a fantastic creative mind, so
Yes.
It's not surprising to me that she's the one who came up with this idea. Long-term vision for the food pantry and how you keep this going at the rate you need to keep it going, because
Yeah.
it was a bit stunning to hear 100 families in need. And then the other question, so 2 questions. One, their vision for the future. Number 2, how do people, if you are in need, what's the process?
Yeah, great questions, actually. So the vision, I think, is to, keep doing what we're doing, try and meet the community's needs. I think we're going to see an increase. I think we're still feeling the effects of COVID. We're still feeling effects of high inflation, and people, and as everyone knows, property taxes have gone up. So people are starting to feel a little bit of a pinch. We do not, and this sort of leads into the second question of how can you apply for the food pantry? We require people to be Westwood residents and to fill out an application, but we don't necessarily have income requirements. And we feel that anybody, if you're willing to come to us and say, hey, I need some help, we are willing to help you. So for that, we want to really continue the fundraising, the donations. And we also want to engage with the community a little bit more. I think this food drive is a great example of how we're doing it. We're trying to push out more on social media and really just raise awareness. People are amazing in this town. When any sort of organization raises their hand and says, hey, can you help out? This community rallies. We've seen that time and time again. So we're really happy to be in Westwood. We're really proud to be here.
Yeah, it just takes a party starter sometime
Exactly.
to just raise awareness of
Exactly.
something that's going on. And there are people at the ready to say, okay, thanks for letting me know. I'm going to step
Exactly.
up and do that. Is there a website? I grabbed this flyer hoping that I might see a website address. What's the website?
We do. It's westwoodfoodpantry.org. And on the website, it has if you are a potential client, it has our hours of operation. It says when you can come and shop at the food pantry. It also mentions that we offer delivery services for those who are housebound and can't get to the food pantry to shop. And if you want to apply as a client, you can either call us or email us, or even just honestly walk into the senior center and ask for Mary Ellen LaRose. And all of that information's on the website.
Another legend. You mentioned Lena, you mentioned
I
Mary
know,
Ellen. As we
right?
keep doing this
I
each and
know.
every year, we hear the people who are so significantly engaged in the community, and those are the names that keep
Yep.
coming around. So thanks to all of you at the Westwood Food Pantry who I'm sure are listening to this for the job that you do. Also opportunities for kids who may need service hours. There's got to be opportunities for the high school kids to
Yeah.
help out, right?
Yes, well, actually, every year in November we have our annual sorting day where the Cub Scouts drop off all. They do that townwide food drive. They drop off hundreds and hundreds of items, and we have probably 20 to 30 high school kids who help us sort all those. So, kudos to the high school for always providing that manual labor in November.
Fantastic. Plenty for you to do. You've listened, you've gotten the cues, and now it's just a matter of taking action. So call your favorite elementary school. If I may just call Sheehan and say, I'm going to get you a bunch of toothbrushes.
There
The
we
kindergarten class is going to get hooked up by the Leyden family right now. That's the number one thing here on the list. So actually, I'll call Sheehan and see what they need. But that's great. I'm glad that we can be a part of it. And thank you for the time you gave me to explain what you do. Thank you for the work that you and the entire board does. And for those of you listening at home, if there's anyone else you want me to have a conversation with, just reach out. tleiden@bestversionmedia.com. I'll find that person, have a conversation with them, and then share it with you here on the Westwood Living Podcast Network. But for now, from Study Room 1 at the Westwood Public Library with Maya Plotkin, this is Tom Leyden saying so long, and thanks so much for listening. Thanks, Maya.
Thanks, Tom.